Right in time for throw-in. It is Ballyboden St Endas against Ballymun Kickhams. Our referee is Gary McCormack. Dave Feeney and Chris Nolan are on the lines. And James McCarthy, as you would expect, despite being named in the Ballymun squad, has started. He replaces Brian Ashton. One change in the Ballyboden team. Number 17, Leo McHugh, is now in at cornerback. Immediately we have an injury, Coleman Goggins. It gives us the chance to do a little bit of a preview of this game, despite the fact that it has started. What are you expecting?
Very intense battle. Obviously they met last year. There was a lot of goals shared. Ballyboden came out on top. I think it's John Small who's down there who hurt. It looked like he got a bang to the face just accidentally, obviously, as they were competing for the ball. So not an ideal start for him by any means, but certainly accidental. So look, you have two teams who will and have contested Dublin county finals, won county finals. I think Ballyboden, for their part, over the last 5 years, in terms of where they've been at in championship, they've been a semi-final, runner-up in the championship in 20. They won it in 19, and then they were semi-finals. So they have a huge pedigree. Similarly, Ballymun, when they won it, when they had all their players together, and during COVID times, they were exceptional. Their challenge has always been knitting the 5 or 6 into county guys back into their setup. So it's a challenge for both teams today, given the impact that both have had in Dublin winning in All-Ireland. But it'll be an intense battle, scores at a premium, and very physical, I imagine.
Kennedy racing up the park there is Brian Bobbitt. Such speed. Bobbitt continues his run, doesn't get it back. Bowden attempting to score the first of the match. And they have. It's a wonderful point by Warren Egan.
Yeah, always good for a score, Warren Egan. Again, we've seen it in the earlier game. That movement from the sideline inwards rather than what would have been the outward run towards the sideline. So start wide and cut across. Great move across by Egan from a distance out. Knocks it over the bar. Great start for Ballyboden. Pressure on the kick out that Evan Comerford gets away though.
Evan Comerford, another All-Ireland medal in his pocket. And he's one of the players I would feel sorry for. Did absolutely nothing wrong. But when Stephen Cluxton comes back, you have to play him. And that point has been confirmed and rammed home by the fact that Dublin won the All-Ireland.
Yeah, well, he'd been carrying an injury earlier in the year, and David O'Hanlon had deputised for Dublin so excellently across the league. It's probably David O'Hanlon who was most unlucky to miss out with Stephen Cluxton coming back, because he had been brilliant for Dublin in the league. But you've hit the nail on the head. Stephen Cluxton back in the setup it's all about Stephen in terms of what he brings to the team, and it's unfortunate O'Hanlon missed out. But it's good to see Evan Comerford tugged out again. He's had a rough period through injury, so it's nice to see him tugged out for Ballymun.
Elliott. Probing is Keeley. Elliott. Keeley. Running down the line, Keeley. Into the hands of Sean Tuke. Now it's Kieran McManus. Shares his name with the awfully great. Comerford is there as an outball. Comerford roaming forward. James McCarthy. Bulger. I went down to speak to Kevin Leahy, the manager of Ballymun. I said, do you have any changes? And he said, yeah, you'll probably recognise him. The change, of course, was James McCarthy coming in. As I said, if I don't recognise him, I have absolutely no business in the commentary position. Here's McManus. Not bad himself. Cathal O'Tye. Free in.
Yeah, I think it was the first contact. Gary McCormack, referee, pushing it back. Very experienced referee. Won't be fazed by the physicality that these two will bring to the game today.
James McCarthy. Paddy Small. O'Tye. That's a good interception. It's Brian Bobbitt. Laid off. Michael MacDonald. That's the man we talked about before the game. Leo McHugh getting on the ball, and they try and run it through. Kieran Kennedy. Shoveled it off. Colin Basquel. Colin Basquel. Half of Ballymun after him, but he's able to cut back, get a bit of space. Michael MacDonald. Kieran Kennedy. Well taken. Dara Sweeney laid it off. Sweeney continued the run, didn't come back his way. Ryan Basquel. Ryan Basquel trying to get around Tuke. Ryan Basquel got under it, doesn't have the accuracy and the distance. No. First wide for Ballyboden St Endas.
Yeah, but great work defensively. Bob coming out with the ball, sets up an attack. You know, real swift to get up the field. Great take in the middle of the field, or almost a great take, but retains possession. But really good work from Ballyboden. Unlucky not to get a score off Ryan Pascal.
James McCarthy. Sean Tuke is coming in support. It's John Small. Here's Sean Tuke. Spotted the gap and went through it. Out it comes. O'Ty. McManus. A partial block by O'Donoghue. Took the sting out of it and they were able to carry it out. Pascal. Pascal down the line. Finds the brother, Ryan Pascal. Has a runner inside with him. That's Leo McHugh. Goes outside to McHugh. Here's Colin Pascal. Michael McDonald. Cian Darcy. Trying to find a route through is Gavin. He's pickpocketed. Great work. Dean Robertson. Here's John Small. That's a foul. It's a free out.
Yeah, brilliant by Dara Conlon to get back, get a hand in, win it back for Ballymun. You know, really great discipline tackling so far early in the game. Only the one score, but already interesting looking at matchups, setups, and the physicality. Great hit.
Fantastic. Elliott. Bobbitt gets away from the tackle of Paddy Small. Here's James Holland. This game is being played at an almighty pace, isn't it?
Yeah, I know there's been limited scores, but a totally different pace, a physicality to it, and the movement within it, just how they're set up to both teams. Real commitment to tackle. Great block, Davy Byrne. Bowden retain it.
Luke O'Donoghue. Here's the call, gives it inside. Colin Pascal. Ross McGarry making the run, receiving the ball. McGarry. McDonald wants it, it's still McGarry. McGarry takes it on despite a wall of Ballymun defenders in front of him and puts it over. That's a really good score by Ross McGarry.
Yeah, brilliant. Two great scores from distance from Ballyboden to get us up and running here. First one came from Warren Egan. Second, obviously, from Ross McGarry. Quick kick out, late hit there. We'll see the ball from where it bounced.
Well, a lot of credit must go to the Pascals and James McCarthy and the Smalls and others, and how they've got themselves ready and prepared and out here playing for their club just 10 days after one of the biggest days of their lives. It must take an awful lot out of you emotionally and physically.
I'd say a stag there last weekend probably didn't help either. In fairness to
That's true. And Dean Rock is on the bench tonight, speaking of the stag in question.
Although I believe it was oranges all round.
Oh yeah, of course. Luke O'Donoghue. Recycled. Gavin. That's a free in. Kennedy wants it. He's on the near side here, out of your picture, but he wasn't spotted.
Yeah, I think referee Gary McCormack having a word with
Small and McGarry.
Yeah, they'd know each other well from training matches, I'm sure.
Ryan Pascal. That's a really good pass. Can McGarry turn and get the shot away? The answer is yes. Can he score? The next question, the answer to that, also yes. His second. 2 in a row for Ross McGarry. 3 in a row for Crokes. 3 without reply.
You're after having a Freudian slip there saying Crokes instead of Ballyboden, Ushin.
I was thinking of the next match on Saturday, Crokes taking on Sylvester's.
Great start from Ross McGarry. Couple of scores, 2 shots a goal. Great ball across the field. First time a bit of space for Ballymun.
Dean Robertson. Robertson. Swan might try and get under that if he can. He has. He's kept it alive, but just poked at there. Good toe poke out by Shane Clayton. So experienced, Shane Clayton.
Yeah, very consistent. You know, does everything right from a defensive point of view. So strong under the ball. Does the job. No fuss defender, really.
Driving on Michael McDonald. He's fouled. They wanted advantage to be played, but the pass was a slight miscue anyway.
Is he going to hop the ball now? Did somebody say something? I think Cian Darcy is lucky. That's the second time he's been involved in a bit of pulling like that. But obviously somebody said something, so Gary McCormack going to hop the ball in.
Cian Darcy and James McCarthy. Darcy wins the ball, gets tangled up, loses the ball, squirts out. McManus. He's dispossessed. Pasquale. Ross McGarry of Ballyboden St. Endas. No mistaking that. Ross McGarry looking for his third point. He doesn't get it.
Yeah, Colin Pascal won't be happy. He had come off the shoulder there of the Ballymun cornerback. Dara Conlon was in, of Leon Young was in a little bit of space, but McGarry opted to carry it forward himself and take on a shot. Leaves it into Evan Comerford's hands. Ballymun struggling to settle early on.
Byrne wanted it, didn't get it. Aaron Elliott. Paddy Small. Davy Byrne. Davy Byrne winds up and goes for it. Davy Byrne. That is some way to get your team off the mark. Davy Byrne with a really fine point.
Yeah, great score. Davy Byrne set himself up to hook it over the bar and managed to do that. First score for Ballymun, and really their first shot at goal, to be honest. They have struggled to get into the game. Bowden much better, a lot more pace in terms of driving the ball forward, creating an overlap all the time.
Collected on the run by James Holland. Gavin to Holland. Back to Gavin. Now it finds its way to Warren Egan. He's already got one. Drifting inside is Cian Darcy. Egan gets it away to Dara Sweeney, who pops it over.
That's a brilliant score, and the problem that was created for Ballymun there was runners who were pushing themselves into space, which meant defenders had to drop off, which allowed the guy coming off the shoulder into that little bit of space. Great score, great response to Ballymun's score, but Bowden's certainly moving better, a little bit more structured in terms of their movement up front as well. No clear-cut goal chances, but certainly causing some problems for the Ballymun full back line at the minute.
Elliott sent it down the line. The target now is Dara Conlon. He's beaten to it, well defended by James Holland, who runs out of pitch, and it's a line ball to Ballymun. Paddy Small. Small being shown the line. Small, can he squeeze that one over from a very tight angle? Took a clip on the way, it's a 45.
Brilliant defender by Shane Clayton. Knows that Paddy Small is looking to come back on his left foot, is trying to push him right, and when Paddy does cut back, does well to get it back across him to get a hand on the block and send it out for a 45. Gives an opportunity maybe for Evan Comerford, who I see marching forward here, maybe to have a go at the posts, but really great defending, and Ballyboden have defended well in the opening quarter here. And the pace, the turnover when they get the ball, that transition, there's real pace in what they're trying to do.
Well, they're deep in injury time between Ballantyre and Temple Oak Sink Street. It's 3-14. That's 23 points to 4-8. That's 20 points in favour of Ballantyre. Here's Comerford. Just shanked it wide. Is that a first wide for Ballymun?
It is.
Yep, I think it is. Yep.
Only their second shot at goal from what I make out of it. Caught it well, in fairness. Evan Comerford just left it the wrong side of the post. Great kick out.
Fisted down the line, running to meet Ross McGarry. McGarry still going, chasing after him. There is Keeley. McGarry outside. McDonald. Kennedy fumbles it under pressure from O'Tye. Good pass, well taken by Sweeney. Kieran Kennedy. Kennedy for Luke O'Donoghue. O'Donoghue inside McManus and takes his point. Could have driven on, but takes his point.
What a pass from Kieran Kennedy there, through the eye of a needle really, to pick out the ball inside, and then cuts inside and knocks it over the bar. Really brilliant pass, but some great passing in that move from Ballyboden. Little short passes, guys coming into space all the time, really putting pressure on Ballymun early on here.
5 points for Ballyboden, 4 different scorers. Here's Kieran Kennedy. Luke O'Donoghue, one of those 4. Probably did the right thing, by the way, by putting it over, because there was a couple of defenders getting across to cover. McHugh lays it off, continues his run. Pasquale, Column. Colin Pascal wants it back, gets it back. It's opening up a little bit for him. He'll take his point. Again, the right option taken. Colin Pascal gets his first.
Yeah, from a Ballymun perspective, to be concerned at how easy those scores are coming. You know, the questions were going to come their way. They've 5 guys coming back from an All-Ireland success. They've had to celebrate that. Dean Rock obviously is getting married this weekend. There's a stag involved there, so there's probably been a lot going on that didn't knit them into the team to where Kevin Lee would like to have seen them in advance of this game. Ballyboden maybe have been together, more collected group because of the fact that they don't have the same stuff going on. Ballymun will certainly grow into the game. What they don't want is just to let that gap develop early on here in the first half, because it's a long way back then if they allow it just to build and build from a Bowden perspective.
A confirmed full-time. Ballantyre St John's 3:14, Temple Oak Sing Street 4:8. That's a confirmed full-time from the go-ahead Dublin Senior 1 Football Championship. McManus, that's going to drop in. Small is probing. Who's it going to break to? It breaks the green and red, and it's kicked over by Robbie Bulger. I was about to say it initially broke to Ballymun, then it got away from them, but Bulger was quick to snaffle it up and kick it over.
Yeah, maybe a half-chance goal. Both the Ballyboden defenders went for that, and it broke. Just didn't get turned quick enough. His first touch on the ball left him down a little bit, but still managed to tag it over the bar for a second score for Ballymun.
James Holland. Pascal lays it off. Plenty of options. Dara Sweeney. Again, didn't have the legs. That's their second drop short. James McCarthy. McCarthy driving out of defence. Elliott. Looked like maybe it was fumbled, but then it was regathered. Getting a hand in there was Egan, but he couldn't make it his. John Small. McManus is in open country here. Go, Kieran, go is the shout at him. He's asking an awful lot of Small to get there, and Small couldn't get there. The ball beats
and worse
him.
than that, Paddy Small has stayed down there. Looks like he's clutching at a hamstring maybe, or calf. Probably picked up some element of a calf strain, or maybe some cramp in the game in the All-Ireland football final. And maybe that's just after catching him there as he made a spurt to the corner to try and win the ball. Bad pass, which could end in a bad injury. Hopefully not for Paddy Small.
Pascal. That's a really good take by Dara Sweeney, who is fouled. It's a free in.
Yeah, mentioned those little passes. Colin Pascal again, lovely little dink pass, 20 yards in front of the forward coming out on it. You know, fairness to Sean Chuk, he's left with little option but to try and put a pull on him, because if he's turned there, you have a clear road to goal. Puts a stop on him, gives an opportunity for a place ball, probably for Ryan Pascal to have a look at. If I have the numbers right here and he knocks this over, that's all 6 of Bowden's forwards will be on the score sheet within the first 20 minutes. And all bar, depending on what happens with Ryan Pascal coming from play. Here's the sub.
Well, going off. I can tell you who's come on. Dean Rock.
I think it's Paddy Small who's gone. He hasn't come back from the sideline there. He's maybe gone straight for the dressing
I think
room.
they took him in. That's why I wasn't sure, because I literally couldn't see him. So he's probably gone in for treatment, get that iced up and treated straight away. Small, a huge loss. Rock, not a bad replacement. And that's not a bad free. Very well struck by Ryan Pascal. Now he's got his first of the game. And all 6 starting forwards from Ballyboden, numbers 10 to 15, have got scores.
Yeah. They've been very visible in terms of their work rate on the ball. Bad kick out.
7-2. At the moment, Ballantyre St John's top of the group. Ball finds its way to Gavin. Pascal has a go. Runs into the referee. And it's a wide.
Yeah, there was a little bit of uncertainty from the umpires. They had a look at each other, weren't really sure, but they decided to call it wide. Gary McCormick agrees. Kick out for Evan Comerford. Gap remains at 5.
So just to confirm, Paddy Small has gone off injured. We think he's gone straight to the dressing room because while play was continuing, he was getting treatment in that corner, the dressing room corner. Dean Rock came on. Small didn't go to the bench. No one actually ran to the bench, so Ballymun having to make a change early. Rock was always going to play. I'm not sure the plan was to get him on this early, but I'm sure he's fit for it. I'm sure he's ready for it. Conlon. Well gathered by Robbie Bulger, who's already scored a point. Bulger trying to get away from Clayton. Clayton just escorts him out over the line. But the referee, I think, is saying it's a well, is that a free or a line ball? Either way, it's
no, I think he's saying it's a free, that he gave him a push. I think it's a bit unlucky on Shane Clayton. He's got a bigger physique, obviously, than Robbie Bulger there. Just looked to put his weight into him a little bit. Gary McCormack deemed it was a shove. Second sub seems to be coming on for Ballymun as well.
Dean Rock taking the free.
Well, I don't think that's going to be permitted.
Well, in for Ballymun is Cameron McCormack, a player not lacking in experience, and I think it might be
Ty maybe who's heading that direction.
That's right.
You'd have to assume there's an injury there as well for Cahill O'Ty.
Well, he's jogging off. He doesn't look overly happy. That's, well, I suppose for two reasons. One, no one wants to go off 21 minutes into a championship match, especially when you're 5 points down, and two, well, he's possibly injured. Well, Kevin Leahy forced into two changes, but two good players coming in. Here's James McCarthy. Dean Rock. Well taken by John Small. McCormack, can he make an instant impact? Yes, he can.
I think it was Dean Rock.
It was Dean Rock, sorry.
Yeah,
it was
Dean Rock, took the ball and knocked it over the bar. Fair play to him. How many times has he kicked scores on this field from that distance? Brilliant score, and a couple of changes. Maybe they're having an immediate impact for Ballymun.
21 and 22 in for Ballymun. Clayton. Clayton trying to turn away there from Davy Byrne. Intercepted, really casual. Dean Robertson took it. Ballymun on the attack again. Dean Rock is drifting in behind. Ball finds its way to Anton Swan. Swan collects it again. Rock wants it. Rock gets it. Gets it back outside to McCormack. Can they find a score? That's really good from Swan.
Yeah, great score. A lovely little check, body check there. Ballymun just went in creating the move there from Cameron McCormack. Just got in the way of the defender, which gave him a little bit of space to create the score or to knock it over the bar. Good response. 2 on the spin for Ballymun. Good score from Anton Swan.
Yep, their first time in the match to do 2 in a row. It's won though by Ballyboden. Gavin sends it forward, continues the run now. Running onto it is Warren Egan. Warren Egan just about gets it back under control. Warren Egan gives it there to Cian Darcy. Darcy outside. Dara Sweeney. Sweeney. Still Sweeney. Overcarried, that won't count. Ballymun beginning to play their way into this one and really put pressure on Ballyboden.
Yeah, I think there was an opportunity to cut across Tuke that time and give yourself a better opportunity in front of the goal. Managed to get a shot away eventually, but was deemed there was too many steps. And as you rightly said, took Ballymun a while. I mentioned they'd have a lot of stuff going on for some of the guys in the squad. So slowly but surely growing into the game, and a couple of substitutions having an impact, I think, too.
Elliott gets it back. Elliott still going. James McCarthy. Always just looks like he has that bit more time than everyone else. Bulger looking for Rock. He's found Rock. Rock trying to escape from the full back, and Rock gets his shot away, and Rock gets a second point. Advantage was coming anyway. Brian Bobbitt did his best to hold him up, but there was no stopping Dean Rock. 2 points since coming on.
Yeah, I mentioned the little dink balls that Colin Pascal was doing for Ballyboden. Great little pass in. I think it was from Bulger at that time. Found Rock. Had won a free if he hadn't managed to get the score, but a great impact. Great response from Ballymun.
Colin Pasquale being chased by Cameron McCormack. Pasquale gives it to his brother. Luke O'Donoghue. Cian Darcy, Luke O'Donoghue. Pasquale. Darcy. Bobbitt. McDonald. Thought about having a go for a second, instead gives it off to Pasquale. Here's Colin Pasquale. Ballyboden just playing around with it. Cian Darcy. Dara Gogan is up in support. You can't see that at the moment, but he's kind of just hovering inside his own 65. Here's Cian Darcy. Brian Bobbitt. Bobbitt. Just goes short. Holland. Pascal. Holland continued his run. That's a really good pinpoint pass by Pascal. Can they finish it with a good score? The flag goes up, but his arm was up long before the flag went up. It's a good point by Ballymun. A good response. It was James Holland who got it. So they just conceded 3 on the bounce, so they needed to stop the rot, and they have.
Yeah, great run, great. Again, Colin Pascal, very instrumental in terms of the pass he's picking out. You know, James Holland made the run that time, find the pass into space. Despite the pressure coming, knocked it over the bar. Great score for Ballyboden.
I love that confidence of putting the arm in the air even before the white flag went up. James Holland knew. Dean Rock. Rock goes for it. Gogan comes to meet. Leo McHugh. McHugh again. Bobbitt. Clayton. McCormack cuts off the route. Clayton. McDonald. This one has flown by, just 3 minutes to go to half time. Gavin. Gavin followed by McCormack even after he lays the ball off. Ballymun sticking to their task. Kieran Kennedy. James Holland. Kennedy. Gogan. I think this is the first time we've had a lull in this game. It's understandable because it was played at breakneck pace. Coming back to meet it, O'Donoghue. McDonald. McGarry. McGarry motoring on. Loss. And then played along the ground, and it's a free out to Ballymun.
Yeah, very disciplined defending from Ballymun. They didn't jump in. They kept pressing the ball, kept pressing the man on the ball, making Ballyboden kick the ball, then gave the defender an opportunity to get a hand in and turn it over. Pascal unlucky, felt he was given a shove in the back. Ballymun's chance to build.
Elliott inside looking for Rock, who he has found. Rock off to Bulger. Bulger selling dummies, trying to get the score off the left. Bulger, that's delicious.
Yeah, brilliant score, Robbie Bulger. Again, great ball in. Dean Rock, all that experience showed outside of Bobbitt. Won it. The first couple of balls that went in early on, Bobbitt came out thundering out the field with the 3 balls that went in his direction. The balls that have gone in since, Dean Rock has won each and every one of them. This time he popped it back to Robbie Bulger to knock it over the bar. 2 scores for the full forward.
One of the worries about moving the Inter-County Championship back to a July finish is that club doesn't capture the average fan, that the quality drops off. We're not seeing a drop off here tonight, I can tell you that. Here's John Small. Speaking of quality, John Small! Great score, his first of the game.
Yeah, what a brilliant shout. Middle of the field, the ball is coming his direction. He led a big roar. It's my ball, collects the ball, travels forward 30 yards and knocks it over the bar. After 20 minutes, it was 7-2, Ocean 5-point gap. Just before half time, one between the sides. The intensity, physicality. You know, you mentioned, break after an All-Ireland, that sometimes the club scene takes a while to get going. Well, it might have taken Ballymun 20 minutes, but they're well in the game now.
Ballymun, who brought on Dean Rock. That's a great win of the break by Ballyboden, who are decent themselves. Here's Alex Gavin. Evan Comerford is jogging back into goal. That's a really good pass, Pasquale. There's a potential goal chance for Ballyboden, but James McCarthy defends it really well.
Yeah, brilliant from James McCarthy. He was actually the man who jumped to get the break in the middle of the field and then got back to help out his defence, his full back line. Looked like Pascal had it won. Great movement, just a ball control let him down. McCarthy gets back, gets a boot on it, comes off Pascal. It's back in Ballymun's hands. Can they create a chance before half time? Leave us tied up going in at the break.
Well, there's all sorts of talk in the world at the moment about finding alternative sources of power. James McCarthy, there's a source of power. Here's Dean Robertson. Does really well to get it to McManus. McManus, good pass. McCormick runs onto it. Well, it is McCormick, sorry. Oh, that's intercepted. It's Pasquale. Ross McGarry. Well taken by Kieran Kennedy. Kennedy juggles it forward. He was fouled. It's a free. Pascal. James Holland. McDonald has an option wide, goes with that option. That would be some score if it went over off the boot of Warren Egan. Evan Comerford ensures that it doesn't.
Yeah, well watched Evan Comerford. Third ball, they dropped short, Ballyboden.
And it's half time in what has been a heavyweight contest. Ballyboden leading by 1, but at one stage they led by 5. Coleman Goggins, what have you made of it?
Yeah, great game, really entertaining. It's you know, you mentioned it, it's two heavyweights, it's two teams who have ambitions of going and winning the Dublin Senior Football Championship, so you have to come out and display early doors, given that it's, you know, two competing teams against each other. Ballyboden started brilliant, 3 points to good after 10 minutes, then 6-1 after 15 minutes, so it was really going their way, but in fairness to Ballymun, managed to turn things round in the second half. Disappointing they lost Paddy Small, but then Dean Rock comes in and it's been a totally different story for that last maybe 10 minutes of the first half.
Well, let's have a look at the highlights of a really entertaining and high quality first half.
Yeah, well, we've seen Warren Egan before coming off the line like that, knocks over for a score from a distance out, was unlucky there at the death. That one dropped into Evan Comerford's hands. Ross McGarry, a man who's been involved with the Dublin Senior Footballers this year, put 2 on the spin. And as I mentioned then, within the first 10 minutes, you know, Ballyboden were 3 to the good. Great movement. Look at Ross McGarry, the space he created for himself. Just cuts inside onto his left foot to get a second score. So after 10 minutes, everything was going well for Ballyboden. Bit of a response from Ballymun, a boomer from Davy Byrne, hooked it up into the air and curled it over the bar. That was their first effort at goal. That came after 11 minutes. That was their first shot at goal that Davy Byrne got a score off it. But Bowden came back again. Mentioned across the first half the impact our forwards have had. Look at the movement. Egan cuts inside, spins, comes back, pops it out to Dara Sweeney. He knocks one over the bar.
Could have gone for a goal, perhaps.
Yeah, there was maybe a half chance there. They were probably happy enough to take the points the way they were setting themselves up. Brilliant pass from Kieran Kennedy there. Turns back onto his left, knocks it over the bar. Luke O'Donoghue. And then there was a player who hadn't managed to get the score sheet. Pascal adds a bit of pace into the move. And they're 6 points to 1. There's a quarter of an hour gone. Looks like they're in total control. Fortunate here, 2 defenders went for it. First touch maybe let him down, but great pick by Robbie Bulger to knock it over the bar. He's been very good in the first half for Ballymun. And that score there from Ryan Pascal, you mentioned it in commentary. That was all 6 of Ballyboden's starting forwards had scored. The only score from a free coming from that Pascal. And then we mentioned the change. Paddy Small went off injured. Cathal O'Toy was taken out as well. What an impact. Dean Rock comes in, gets a score. Look at the body check there. Just created the space. Mentioned it in the commentary. 2 points on the spin and then a third one in a row. Great move from Dean Rock. He's fouled, managed to get the score, and from being 7-2 down, it's 7-5. They're back in the game. Great run from James Holland here, despite the pressure, manages to send it up. He stuck his hand up early, calling for the score. Ballymun were less convinced, but a great response to the death from Ballymun. Dean Rock onto the ball, pops it out. Great show from Bulger here, his second score. And then this is a super score from John Small to wrap it up. Catches the ball, takes off on a run. Solo, hop again, have a look, knock it over the bar. 8 points to 7, and from being where they were, 5 points down, point game. And what's
changed?
Certainly they're putting more pressure on the ball, Ballymun, in terms of their defensive work Warren Egan hosting up, brilliant work here from Comfort to take it out. So the space that was there early doors, that little bit of time it took Ballyboden or Ballymun to get into the game, after 20 minutes that washed away, and now they're in a championship game, Ballyboden, and they know that they're going to have to come out second half and give a performance if they want to turn over Ballymun. And likewise, Ballymun now will have half time to regroup, look at what they've achieved in those last 10 minutes and try and replicate that for the next 30.
Half time here, one between them. Ballyboden lead by 8.7 against Ballymun in what we are calling a heavyweight contest. Earlier on, Skerry's Harps took on Castleknock. Castleknock with the win there. You can watch it back in full on Dubs TV. There will also be highlights available of that game through the Dubs TV, Dublin GA social media channels. Earlier on in O'Toole Park, in this group, as in the group containing Ballymun and Ballyboden, Ballantyre overcame Templeogue Sing Street. So just to remind you, the top two in each group go through. It's groups of 4 in the football. It's groups of 5 in the hurling. You can join the conversation via hashtag GoAheadDSC. We would love to hear from you. We've got the second half coming up between Ballyboden and Ballymun. It's one that you don't want to miss, so stay with us. Welcome back to Parnell Park. The teams joining us for the second half. One between them, Boden lead. Coleman, what are you expecting?
Look, I'm expecting the same as we finished in the first half there. Both teams chasing a victory, because that's really the platform you need to get going. Ballymun probably better in the last 10 minutes of the first half there, give themselves a little bit of momentum. You know, from the 20th minute on, they outscored Ballyboden 5-1, so it gives themselves a huge opportunity going into the second half. There's still scores within that Ballyboden team, the way they're set up. Obviously, they've great movement, pace, but I don't envisage Ballymun letting them get the same start as they did beginning of the first half. Seem to be shy a player in around the middle of the field. No, here now, so we're good to go.
And for Ballymun, James McCarthy wasn't named in the squad, but he has started. Dean Rock has come in. Paddy Small has gone off injured, but Ballymun improved as the game went on. I think it's fair to say. At one stage they were 7-2 down. That was after 20 minutes. But then they kicked on. They got the next 3 scores. Holland got one for Ballyboden, and then Ballymun got the next 2. So that's one between them.
Yeah, I think Kevin Lee, he made a brave call there. He took off Cahill O'Toy. Same time that Paddy Small left the field. So you Cameron McCormick and Dean Rock coming in, and they've both had an impact.
And away we go. Ballyboden in the blue and white. Ballymun in the green and red. James McCarthy. James McCarthy, who's now kind of on his haunches, but he's okay. Here comes Kieran McManus. Trying to find his way through and burrow his way through. As Elliott, he is fouled. It's a free in. There's something special about Gaelic football under the lights, and we have that here in Parnell Park tonight. We're delighted to have you with us wherever you're watching around the world. Remember, you can join the conversation via social media. Just use the hashtag GoAheadDSC. A busy week of football. We're back here live on Friday night, and we've got a double header on Saturday. Dean Rock puts it high in the air. It's not going to go wide. It'll stay in play. There was a foul on McHugh, and it's a free out to Ballyboden.
Yeah, you usually put your house on Dean Rock to knock it over. Just put a little bit too much air in it.
Well, Ballymun keep the squeeze on. Ballyboden failing in their attempt to carry it out of defence. We were saying it just before the break. Just in case you missed it, I'll repeat it. Ballantyre with the win earlier on. That was over in O'Toole Park against Temple Oak Sing Street. That was a close game. And by the sounds of it, a great game. Here we had Skerries Harps and Castleknock. You can watch that back in full on Dubs TV. There'll also be highlights available through the Dublin GA social media channels. Castleknock winning that game against Skerries Harps. They got a couple of good goals in the match. Luke Swan with a beauty. Ballymun upping the pace a bit. Can they find a route through? McCormick. Bulger's running behind. The door was shut. McCormick will go himself and kicks it wide on the near side.
Yeah, he gave Bulger the show to go and then held on to the ball, came back on his left and pulled it wide, only their second wide, but Ballymun definitely better start to the second half.
Semi-finalists last year and the year before. Ballymun, runners-up in 2020. Winners in 2019. Ballymun, another team who are always in the conversation. They were eliminated in the group stages last year. Quarter-finalists the year before. Winners in 2020. That hurt them to go out in the group stages. Here's Warren Egan trying to shake off Carl Keeley. That's really good work, Warren Egan.
And he kicked us off at the beginning of the first half. He's done the same at the start of the second half. Pure power there, shoved off the defender. Knocked it over with his right foot. Probably favours him kicking into that goal second half, the way he comes onto the ball. But despite Ballymun's good start, it's Bowden who opened up the scoreboard in the second half.
Colin, that spill, trying to nip in there with Sweeney. And they've got the free. They want to take it quickly. They won't be allowed though.
Yeah, big pressure putting the ball there. Managed to get a turnover. Half chance if they could have got on it to create a goal. Stood in the way of Ryan Pascal, prevented it from taking a quick free. So it'll make it very easy from the 21-metre line, I'd say.
But for Ballymun, they will hope that Paddy Small can recover quickly from what appeared to be a hamstring injury. He went off in the first half. Here's Ryan Pasquale looking for his second of the game. The first, also from a free. And Basquel sticks it over. 2 in a row for Ballyboden to start the second half. A quick start to the second half, just as they had to the first.
Yeah, and a big squeeze on the kick out again here, seeing if they can turn over Evan Comerford again. Bodies really push forward, goalkeeper out around the middle of the field too.
And some amount of noise that skips along the turf to Dara Conlon. Cameron McCormack.
And hugged the 21 metre line and gets Evan Comerford out of jail. Brilliant kick out.
Comerford across to McCarthy. Turning and going, Leon Young. Or I beg your pardon, John Small. Laid off to James McCarthy. That's towards Dean Rock. Clayton pushes it, but Rock nips in and wins it back. That's brilliant from Dean Rock. Here's James McCarthy. Rock in behind. Rock takes it. Dean Rock. Unlucky.
Yeah, very unlucky. Deserved something more from that. Shane Clayton, batted it down rather than holding on to it. Rock scooped in, picked it up, and then ended up getting on the end of the move again. Left a free short earlier. That one drops wide.
McDonald.
Space here. And
finds
Evan
Colin
Comerford out of goal.
Basquel. Comerford is racing back. Basquel is happy to take the point.
Yeah, I wonder if he knew he was actually out of the goal there. Comerford was caught well short away from his goal. Colin Basquel picked it up and knocks it over the bar, but there was definitely an opportunity if he'd looked up to maybe stick it into the back of the net. Comerford did manage to get back, but not before Basquel had it knocked over the bar. 3 on the spin, and all of a sudden the gap opens out to 4.
Comerford. We'll get a look at that incident in just a second. Actually, let's get a look at it now. Could Colin Basquel have gone for goal here?
Yeah, but by the time he picked up the ball, first look there, it's away. He'd taken a play at that time. Duke and Comerford making it back. Did well to get the score, but huge pressure from Ballyboden.
Sweeney doesn't catch it right at all, but it will drop in or around the house. And bounces kindly for Ballymun. That's Cameron McCormack. James McCarthy dropping deep is Swan, but he wasn't spotted. Davy Byrne. Dangerous enough from Davy Byrne, but he gets away with it. McManus, he will tell you he knew exactly what he was doing. Davy Byrne runs into a big challenge from Holland. It's a free for Ballymun.
Yeah, big fella James Holland. Davy Byrne wasn't going to back down, neither was James Holland, but Gary McCormack deemed it to be a little bit on the danger side, so he's going to issue a yellow card.
Well, let's have a look at that.
Definitely met him, with his chest rather than his shoulder. And Davy Byrne is no slouch when it comes into those tackles either. So 2.
Well, on Saturday, a double header of games from here in Parnell Park. At 3:30, it's Nafina against St. Jude's. That's in Group 4. Also in that group, by the way, St. Vincent's against Whitehall Colmkill. That game is at 7:30 on Friday night. It's also live on Dubs TV. Gogan takes that one very easily. Then on Saturday, we've got 2 games from here in Parnell Park. Kilmacud Crokes taking on St. Sylvester's in the other game. Nafina and St. Jude's in the first part of that double header that I just told you about. Gogan. Clayton. Clayton with the side step inside Swan. Cian Darcy. Basquel. Holland. Coming forward, Kieran Kennedy. Kennedy launches it. He's looking for Basquel. He's found him. Can Basquel find the score? He's being made to work hard. Basquel, that's a really good block down. It still might be there for Ballyboden. There's a battle on for possession, and the scramble is won by Ballyboden.
Yeah, great defending from Ballymun. Brilliant block. Foul there, I think. Robbie Bulger, not where he wants to be, but back helping out his defence. But a brilliant block there. Colin Pascal looked like he got back on his left. Great work, great block, an important block because it would have pushed the gap out to 5. Gives Ballymun a chance to regroup and rebuild.
Evan Comerford. The noise level has grown in the second half. A big crowd in for this one as well, relatively speaking. Dean Rock squirts it back out. Davy Byrne. That's a really good pass. Davy Byrne gives it to McManus, who calls the mark. He'll take it on. It doesn't have the legs. Those are the kind of chances that they just cannot afford to miss.
Yeah, it's 3 chances. The one, the free Rock had, the one that went wide off Dean Rock, and also that one there. Looked like he called the mark, but then carried on. Probably should have reset himself.
Luke O'Donoghue. Warren Egan with him, gives it to Egan. Egan trying to get through the gap. He does, gets the shot away, gets the score. Egan's having a fine night. That's 3 from play.
The power he brings in when he gets the ball like that, very hard to stop. He's such a big chap. Very hard to put a stop on him. Another sub from Ballymun coming onto the field. But you know, just the angle of running there. Colin Pascal came looking for twice. Egan turned inside. Not going to stop that level of power.
Ballymun yet to score in the second half. Ballyboden 4 without reply. And Luke O'Donoghue has gone off. And in to replace him is Ryan Baines.
I think it's Kieran McManus.
McManus has gone off on the Ballymun side, yeah. So both teams making substitutions. Brian Ashton has replaced Kieran McManus, and Ryan Baines has replaced Luke O'Donoghue. The first sub for Ballymun, the second for Ballyboden. Pasquale, can he keep that one in play? No, the ball just beats him to the line. Brian Ashton dropping short. He wants the possession. Instead it goes back to Comerford. Ashton, Comerford continues the run. He looks fit for it, doesn't he, Comerford, getting up and down the pitch. Ashton juggling under pressure from Pasquale.
Yeah, that's brilliant work from Colin Pascal. I think the linesman's got it wrong. I think Pascal got his hand, and I think it was Brian Ashton's ball. The linesman, in my opinion, got it wrong. Great work from Colin Pascal, did knock the ball away. Brian Ashton very unlucky, Ballymun very unlucky, the decision has gone against him, but brilliant work from Colin Pascal, came all the way to get a hand in and orchestrate the turnover, and they've managed to get a bounce of the ball too in terms of the play. Great battle there, James McCarthy.
Instant karma as Ballymun win it back. Might fall here for Bulger, does fall for Bulger. Bulger, great goal! He has been lively in attack and defence tonight. He's now on 1-2. He's also made point-scoring blocks. But that was brilliant from Bulger, and it's a 2-point game. Ballymun's first score of the second half. It was worth the wait.
What a great finish from Bulger. I mentioned they were unlucky with the decision here. You mentioned instant karma. James McCarthy went in for the ball there with Warren Egan. He wasn't coming out of it second best. As a consequence, got the turnover.
Bulger again. Here's Dean Rock. There's a lot of space for him to run into. Rock. It's still alive. It's collected on that far post by Swan, who flies it over.
Yeah, Ballyboden defender standing looking. He thought it was gone out over the end line. The umpire didn't agree. 1-1 in 2 minutes. But again, the quick turnover from Ballymun inside, and the jets on Bulger to go by the defender and slot it under the goalkeeper. Brilliant finish, brilliant lift for Ballymun, and they followed up with another score.
Well, all this game up to that point was missing was a goal. Now we have that, and what a goal it was as well. Two teams who have been in the conversation in recent years. Ballyboden still hurting from last year's group stage exit, or Ballymun, I beg your pardon. It's confusing when there's two Ballys. Here's McGarry, gave it to Pasquale. Pasquale! Oh, he'll be kicking himself for not scoring, Colin Pasquale. It's a 45, more great defending from Ballymun.
Brilliant from Ever Comerford on the goal. It looked like he should have taken the shot. He went round James McCarthy on his right foot, probably should have pulled the trigger, then came inside himself. Watch this brilliant hand pass. Pascal, McGarry onto it. He probably could have hit it there. Once he came inside, he took the bounce. Brilliant from Comerford to get the block on it. Super goalkeeper now for 45. goal chance almost immediately at the other end, but a brilliant stop from Comerford.
Well, let's have a look at the Ballymun goal just before that, because two big moments may have swung this back Ballymun's way.
Look at
this
the
goal
pace here, brilliant. Just shoots by Leo McHugh, and then the finish is exceptional. But really, where the goal came out of was on the sideline here. Ballymun were, crossed that the decision went against them. I mentioned James McCarthy with him with Warren Egan. There was only one winner in it. They win the ball, it flies into the inside line, and a brilliant finish. Ballyboden looking for a response off Gogan from the 45.
Gogan has the distance, has the accuracy. That's excellent from Gogan. Ballymun had just scored 1-1 without reply, so Ballyboden wanted to arrest that slide, and they have.
Yeah, great response. Left the goal chance behind them, but they did manage to get something out of in terms of the 45. Just opens up the gap again to 2.
Duke, McCormick. Evan Comerford with one of the saves of the season so far. I know it's early in the club championship season, but it's hard to imagine you'll see anything better goalkeeping wise this year. McCarthy. And look, I know that O'Hanlon was also there vying for the goalkeeping spot, but when you see stuff like that from Comerford, you understand how difficult a decision it actually was to give Cluxton the place back. Now, he earned it, he deserved it. McCarthy coming forward, I beg your pardon, that's actually Keeley. Ballymun trying to work it. Swan. Hit off his shoulder. Egan. Well taken. Bobbitt. Bobbitt wants it back. Doesn't come back his way. Here's Dean Rock. Rock too casual. And that's Michael Dara McCauley in the game for Ballyboden St Endas. Here is Michael Dara McCauley. Goes outside. McGarry. Sweeney. Sweeney trying to escape the clutches. Ballyboden want a free. They're not getting one. Ballymun trying to turn it over, and they have. Ashton. That's a little bit casual, a little bit sloppy, and it's one back. And fouled is Alex Gavin. It's a free into Ballyboden.
Yeah, a little bit scrappy there. A couple of times that neither team have really laid claim to the ball, managed to turn it over, just making poor decisions in terms of the pass, giving it away easy, very casual. Game has opened up a little bit.
Colin Basquel tried to slalom through, got fouled, free in.
I think the referee deemed that the hand went in around the stomach maybe rather than a tackle on the ball.
Well, let's have another look at that one.
Probably just before that we didn't really see it. Ballymun disappointed to give it away. Davy Byrne leaving the field has had an impact, kicked a great score to get Ballymun off and running. A little bit more pace coming into that inside line now for Ballyboden to deal with.
Yeah, Dylan Keating is in for Ballymun Kickhams. Free to be taken by Dara Sweeney. Sweeney sails that one over. Good score from Sweeney. He's second. He's first from a free.
Ballymun just struggling to stay in the game for long periods. They're getting fits and starts, and maybe a 10-minute burst, a 5-minute burst here, and when they do, it creates problems and brings them scores. Ballyboden much more consistent throughout the opening, the 50 minutes here. They're able to tag on those scores, keeping the scoreboard ticking over, a little bit more consistency in their play. We mentioned obviously everything that's gone on in terms of All-Ireland celebrations and wedding preparations and stags and stuff, but Ballymun have doing themselves proud, doing themselves well. Just that inability maybe to stay going for 10 or 15 minutes is just leaving Ballyboden back into the game every so often.
Paddy Dunleavy has come off the bench for Ballyboden. Michael Dara McCauley meets that with the fists. It's collected though by Ashton. Ballymun at pace through Dean Robertson. Dean Rock is in the square. Robertson will go for it himself. It'll go wide. And badly wide. I thought at least it might drop inside the square and they could battle for it, but that's a waste of possession for Ballymun.
Yeah, probably took it on a little bit too early. Great pace again into the move. Just maybe the wrong shot selection at the end. Great win.
Fantastic win. Conlon broke it. Small carries. He's got Bulger outside. Bulger. Good pass inside. Making the run there is Swan. Is Swan fouled? McCormack, well, he kicked it wide, but it doesn't matter because it's a free in.
Yeah, great run forward by John Small. But again, it's that, dynamo in full forward. Bulger, who's causing the problems, got on the ball, found a pass, opened up again, that time for Anton Swan, who's a couple of points from play himself. Gives Dean Rock another opportunity from a free. Great impact when he came into the game. Hasn't scored since. Opportunity now for him.
Rock does what he needs to do.
Two-point game. Ballymun looking to put a squeeze on the kick out.
Temple Oak, Sing Street and Ballantyre St John's, the other two teams in this group. If you were judging it on form and what you would expect to happen, it would be that Ballyboden and Ballymun should be capable of beating those two teams, and this is a battle for top spot in the group, and in theory an easier quarter-final. Now that's theory, and theory is often not relevant to reality. And Ballantyre have shown it in the last couple of years. They're massively improving, as are Temple Oak, Sing Street. So nothing can be taken for granted in the Go-Ahead Dublin Senior Club Football Championship, especially not at Senior 1 level. Ballymun making another change. Carl Keeley has gone off on the far side. Haven't seen who's come on. Escaping somehow is James Holland. Really good footwork by Ryan Baines. Drops it, regathers it. Ryan Baines. Tackled hard by Dean Rock. Well taken, Paddy Dunleavy. Marauding forward. Basquel. Colin Basquel is fouled. It's a free in. There's runners in behind if he spots them, if he can take it quickly. The referee isn't allowing that.
Yeah, brilliant intensity. Both teams there really fighting, battling for the ball. Ballymun trying to put the squeeze on Ballyboden, almost forced them into a mistake. Colin Basquel, very brave in winning that one, going into two-man tackle. Holds on to it, wins a free, and just manages to settle things again. And Ryan, the brother, bails him out with a short free.
Here's Colin Basquel. Colin Basquel trying to find some space. Colin Basquel still with the football somehow. Colin Basquel is still going. Colin Basquel, what a run this is. He can't quite draw it in.
Yeah, first wide the second half, I make it for Ballyboden. Great run from Colin Basquel. Probably just took on too much there just at the death.
Comerford went short. It was collected by John Small. Small is pressurised, but does really well to come away with the football. Small trying to get away from the clutches there of Darren O'Reilly. Cameron McCormack. Brian Ashton. Ashton still going. Ashton assessing his options. Bulger. McCormack. McCormack gets the free. Michael Darragh McCauley sliding into him. Just lost his footing.
Yeah, Ashton did brilliant there. Looked like he was short on options. Turned back on himself. Managed to find a pass and retain possession. John Small, really standout performer second half for Ballymun. A lot of ball.
John Small gave it off to James McCarthy. James McCarthy. Dylan Keating. Dylan Keating gets a brilliant score. An important score as well.
Yeah, super score from Dylan Keating. We're back to a point game. Brilliant work again. John Small took it out from defence, picked it up again midfield, drove forward. And then Dylan Keating steps into the breach to knock over. A great score for Ballymun. Brilliant score.
It's a 1 point game. Comerford has come up to tackle. He's committed the foul now. He has to race back. Michael Darragh McCauley is told to come forward a bit because there was words after the initial foul was committed.
I don't think Evan Comerford had any option but to get involved there. He was 45 metres from his own goal. Ball in from a well won defensively. Great
really
work
well
from
run.
Leon Young.
Yeah, Glenn Sheridan on it now. Remember, this can end in a draw. It's not knockout. It's round robin. And as we saw during the summer, that can be very exciting, even if it's not knockout. Here is Aaron Elliott. Aaron Elliott being chased here by Cian Darcy. Elliott got the ball away. Ballymun looking for the equaliser. Brian Ashton has fouled, and Dean Rock has been presented the chance.
What an impact Ballymun's bench have had. We mentioned Rock and Cameron McCormack coming in the first half. Brian Ashton, brilliant on the ball. Second half, every time he's got on it, he's drove forward, tried to create something inside. Gives Dean Rock a brilliant opportunity to tie up the game. Again, if you jump back, they were 5 points down after 40 minutes. Gap was opened out again to a couple of scores after 47 minutes. Almost 5 minutes to go. Dean Rock levels up the game. Brilliant.
This is a cracker, isn't it?
A great heart effort from both teams, but particularly so from Ballymun. Every so often it looks like the game has slipped by them. They're coming in these, 5, 7, 10 minute bursts. But they've had a little bit of consistency there over the last couple of minutes. Can they keep it going for the last 5 or 7?
Dunleavy dropped short. He was calling for the kick out, but he was being marked by Rock, so the goalkeeper went long. Brian Ashton wins it, but the free has been awarded to Ballyboden.
Yeah, right call. I think he just left hands on a little bit longer than he needed to. Ballyboden now, who are the ones chasing the score.
Shane Clayton. He's been there. He's done that, as have many of the players on the pitch at the moment. Gavin. Gavin is bobbing in front of him. Goes behind instead. Clayton. Dunleavy. Dunleavy dips the shoulder in. I was going to say runs. It was more of a jog. Michael Dara McCauley. Dunleavy. Pasquale. Ryan rather than Colm. Ryan Pasquale using his pace, getting down that wing. Ryan Pasquale inside. He was, no, he committed the foul. Overcarried it, free out.
Yeah, marginal call, I'd say. Looked like he had broken free to get a pass away. Also looked like he was fouled just before it. Either way, referee gives the decision to Ballymun.
Short it goes. Leon Young. He's upended, free out. Comerford. Sean Tuke. Leon Young needs a bit of treatment. Sean Tuke. You got a bump, but then recovers. Great play. Dara Conlon. James McCarthy. James McCarthy held up. Darren O'Reilly pickpocketing Ballymun. Coming forward here is Ross McGarry. McGarry to Colm Pasquale. He's got a runner with him. That's Gavin. Gavin, great save. Another one. Comerford, he's made 2 really fine stops. Here's Colm Pasquale. Gives it to Ryan Pasquale. Can they get something out of this attack? Michael Dara McCauley still going. And couldn't get the contact he needed on that attempted fisted goal. Let's get another look at that if we can. In just a second, actually. Well, we'll look at it now.
Yeah, it was probably I don't mean the wrong pass, but 15-7 rather than 7-15. So as a consequence, it was the wing back who was bearing down on goal in the shape of Alex Gavin. But again, Comerford stood big. Second big save in the second half. Only for him, obviously, Bowden be probably well out of sight. Unfortunate for Ballymun, they were over carrying in the middle of the field there. It gives Ryan Pasquale a chance to build again for Ballyboden.
Ross McGarry. McGarry gets the shot away. Is it on target? Is it over? Is it the lead for Ballyboden? No.
2 big chances, no score got for Ballyboden. They were so clinical with their chances and execution.
Oh. He knew exactly what he was doing. Dean Robertson. Robertson carries confidently.
Oh.
Miscued it.
Yeah, did everything right to that point. Was looking for the ball inside. Bulger was coming looking for it. Skews it over the sideline.
How good has Robbie Bulger been tonight, by the way?
Yeah, brilliant. Loads of pace, loads of energy. 11 minutes since Bowden scored. Going to need 1 to win it, that's for sure.
Gavin.
Big hit from Dean Rock. illegal tackle from Gary McCormack's opinion. Again, Bowden a chance to build. But phenomenal pressure Ballymun have put on Ballyboden in the second half. Looked like game was going to run its course in terms of Ballyboden's lead, but the work rate has been brilliant from Ballymun. It's kept them in the game.
Pascal, Michael Dara McCauley. That's a really good pass. Here's Darcy. And that's the leading score.
Big score. It's going to ask for a response from Ballymun. Cover was looking to get it away early, but there was a sub coming onto the field. So he'll have to take it back and go again.
And it gives us a chance to have a look at what could be the winning score. There's a long way to go yet. It might not be, but it could be.
Yeah, great work to come across the field. McCauley finds the pass. There's one more pass here. If you look at the run inside, he decides to take it on himself, and it was a good decision, I suppose, in that he gets the point. And given how maybe unsuccessful Ballyboden have been in terms of their goal scoring opportunities, maybe a point is the best option at this stage.
That's Darcy's first of the game. What a time to get it. Oh, Colin Basquel is in here. He could seal it for Ballyboden. He's using his soccer skill. Can he get it home? The answer is yes. Ballyboden get the goal and most likely the win. Ballymun rolled the dice and they lost.
Yeah, coming for looking for the quick kick out. He had turned his back on it, Leon Young. He wasn't sure. Pascal did well to win it, came inside. Looks like there was... Who got the final touch?
Oh, it's Ryan O'Dwyer.
I think Ryan O'Dwyer, certainly the long leg got there before it went over the line, so he's going to be claiming it. But great work from Pascal. Leon Young wasn't really anticipating the quick kick out. He had turned the wrong way. When he turned back again, Comerford gave it to him.
Let's have another look at that if we can. It's Colin Basquel. Ryan O'Dwyer might have scored it, but it's Colin Basquel's goal.
Yeah, Pascal is a good bit off him. Just as Young turns there, he's just caught a bit flat-footed. Pascal does brilliant to come inside. I thought Young had done enough. I think O'Dwyer might have got the touch ahead of Basquel before he took it over the line. So
we have a Noel Hunt, Robbie Keane type debate.
Well,
but I think that footage actually ends that debate. It is Ryan O'Dwyer who's got the goal.
Yeah, unlucky from Evan Comerford. Was just trying to get the ball away. Didn't want to stick it out to the middle of the field.
Yep. It's a pity that the game has essentially been decided on that moment. Comerford deserved better. And he's gone short again, Leon Young. Well, that tells you about their mentality and how strong it is. The fact that they did the same thing again. Sean Tuke. It's a free. Ballymun don't have a whole pile of time. They're going to need a goal. They're going to need two scores. One of them has to be a goal. Small. Keating. Is he fouled? The referee says yes.
Yeah, I think in fairness to the referee, he was allowing advantage because the player was coming at pace there to see if they could open something up. So, no, fair play to Gary McCormack in that instance. Keaton was definitely fouled, but he was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, they're trying to work it. Mark called.
Yeah, not from a free, he's not entitled to
nope.
it.
McCormack. It's dropping to the right side of the post from the Ballyboden point of view.
Yeah, just haven't been as clinical up front. Ballymun, despite huge effort to stay in the game, get back to a draw game. A couple of chances they've left behind them. 4 wides, I have them penciled in for second half. They left a couple short as well into the goalkeeper's hands. So there was opportunities there for them. Huge effort, huge work rate across the second half. Great performance midway from 5-minute spell. Those couple of minutes where they really put the press on.
Great in the final few seconds. Yeah, James Holland took it, gave it to O'Reilly. Here's Colin Basquel, who assisted Ballyboden's goal. Laid off. Ryan Basquel. Michael Dara McCauley wants it, didn't get it. Here's Shane Clayton. Ballyboden don't have to do anything here, just keep the football. Easier said than done, I appreciate. O'Reilly. Darcy.
Yeah,
Dunleavy.
Just trying to manage the game time now.
Well, they have the talent out there to do that, don't they? Here's Ryan O'Dwyer. O'Dwyer, who took his chance. Probably never will get an easier chance than the one he took, but you still have to take it. Here's Holland. Colin Basquel. Holland continues his run. Basquel makes it a 5-point game. They're seeing it home in style.
In fairness, he's been very good throughout the game. Maybe doesn't have the same amount or enough. I don't mean enough, as in the chances he's had in terms of his return on the scoreboard, but been heavily involved in a lot of the scores that Ballyboden have got. Turned over the kick out for the goal as well, so hugely influential in the game, Colin Basquel, and probably a deserved result for Ballyboden at the end of the day.
A 5-point win for Ballyboden. You've just said it's deserved, but Ballymun will kick themselves for the mistakes they made to give that goal, and maybe some periods during the game where they didn't play. When they played, they were good, but there was maybe a few periods where they let Ballyboden get on top. Yeah,
well, you look back at the first quarter, they only had a score got after 15 minutes, and then they managed to, in the next 50 minutes, in the following 50 minutes, obviously they managed to score 6 scores. Started the second half, they went 10, 11 minutes without a score, then came with a burst of 2 scores, then went out of the game again for a period of about 10 minutes again, and then came with that, run of 3 scores. The goal had come in between that, so they came with that run of 3 scores, so it kept giving them opportunity in the game. I just mentioned that consistency across the full 60-65 minutes. They were just in and out. It was a bit too sporadic from a Ballymun point of view. Brilliant and all as their work rate was in the second half, and the turnovers and the scores that they got. Just Ballyboden were a little bit more consistent in terms of the overall 60 minutes. They had fellas that stepped up when scores were required, and when it was draw game there after 55 minutes, it was them that came with the last 3 scores. Okay, the goal was maybe a touch fortuitous, but you have to be in a position to get those turnovers, and Ryan O'Dwyer benefited from Colin Basquel's work to stick the ball into the net. So it was that consistency across the 60 minutes that probably tilted in the favour of Ballyboden. But again, we mentioned, knitting the James McCarthy's, John Smalls, Dean Rock back into a team who haven't had them throughout the year, and then all that's gone with, winning All Ireland. It's been difficult for Kevin Leahy, but great performance from Ballymun, particularly in the second half, where they really asked questions of Ballyboden, who would have had, certainly they had 3 to add into the mix in terms of the Basquels and Ross McGarry, but maybe a more solid foundation defensively that they were able to work on that maybe gave them the foundation for the victory.
Let's have a look at the highlights of the second half.
Well, he started scoring in the first half. Warren Egan did the same, started the second half. Just his strength really is what garners him so much space. Knocked over a score after 32 minutes, and it was all Ballyboden in those first couple of minutes. Ryan Basquel tagged on another free to his own scoring charts. Great fetch in the middle of the field. Great show from Colin Basquel out in front. Pops the ball over the bar, so it's 11 points to 7, and then they get another score from play. Again, Warren Egan comes, shows hard, cuts across the line. Look at the strength again, just cuts inside the defender. So it's 12 points to 7. They're 5 to the good again, and it doesn't look great for Ballymun, but then they get the lifeline. Look at the heels here.
Oh, this is amazing from Bulger.
Spins around the corner, but the finish is absolutely brilliant. He gets in on goal there. He's so composed to knock it over the bar. And Dean Rock, who we mentioned, big impact when he came in. First half, maybe the ball across the end line. Certainly the defender thought so. Didn't stop Anton Swan. He knocked it over the bar. It was 1-8 to 12, so they had a point game.
What about this for a save?
Outstanding, full stretch block on Colin Basquel. Looked like he'd taken the bounce to get by him. Brilliant from Gogan to knock it over in terms of the resulting 45. And then another free one by Colin Basquel, stuck over the bar that time by Dara Sweeney. But again, back came Ballymun, great pace through the middle. We mentioned the impact Brian Ashton had when he came on the field. Brilliant cut inside here on the run. Puts the defender under pressure to win the free. And then James McCarthy pops it back. What a brilliant score. He'd come on as a substitute.
Dylan Keating,
over the bar from Dylan Keating. Then Rock naps up another score. I think his 4th, having come on as a substitute after about 15 minutes.
This is another fine save.
Yeah, I mentioned the pass. It was, Basquel to, if it had been the other way around, to Gavin to Basquel, you probably would have had a different result.
Yeah.
But brilliant that he stood tall. This is a great little move across the field. Michael Darragh McCauley, the hands that pass through it here in terms of the pressure on this kick to knock it over the bar. Really great score.
And here is the goal, I think.
Yeah, really, what won the game for them. Great pressure from Basquel to win it. Brilliant coming back from Ryan O'Dwyer to get in front of both to stick a boot on it. And then probably fitting that this man wraps up the score, and he'd been very influential across the games in terms of frees that he'd won, scores that he'd set up, and also the scores that he'd taken himself. So I think a fully well-deserved victory for Ballyboden, much more consistent across the 60 minutes. But great effort from Ballymun, and we're well in the game until just unfortunate with that last kick, I suppose, that really turned the game in Ballyboden's favour again.
So Ballyboden get the victory against Ballymun earlier on in this group in O'Toole Park. Ballantyre St John's overcoming Temple Oak Sing Street. In Group 3, let's just take a look at what's coming up over the next couple of days. Thomas Davis take on Lucan Sarsfields. That's on Saturday at 3:30. Later that evening in O'Toole Park at 5:30, Coola are up against Raheny. In Group 2, well, we'd action in that tonight. Skerries Harps losing to Castleknock. You can watch that game back in full on Dubs TV, or you can check out the highlights via the Dublin GA social media channels. On Saturday at 5:30 in that group, it is Kilmacud Crokes, the All-Ireland champions, the AIB Club All-Ireland champions, taking on St Sylvester's. That one is live and for free on Dubs TV at 5:30. On Friday night, in Group 4, St Vincent's take on Whitehall Columkill. That's here at 7:30. St Vincent's back in the big time. They're in Senior 1 again, and they will play Whitehall Columkill, and that game will be live on Dubs TV. On Saturday at 3:30 in that group, here in Parnell Park, live on Dubs TV, Nafina take on St Jude's. So a lot of action coming up over the next couple of days. Coleman Goggins, thank you very much. Best of luck to the Dublin ladies who are taking on Kerry in the TG Cahir All-Ireland Ladies Football Final this Sunday in Croke Park. That will be an absolute belter. Can they complete the Dublin? We'll find out next Sunday. That'll be a great occasion. Action, as I say, on Friday night and Saturday afternoon on Dubs TV, and a lot more on all of these games and everything else that's going on across Senior 2, Intermediate, Junior, etc. on the Dublin GAA social media channels. From Coleman Goggins and myself and all the team here in Parnell Park, it is good night and good luck.